Hi everyone, this is Jonathan. I just wanted to share some information about the Hope Movement and some exciting things that have taken place over the last year, thanks to your contributions. All of your prayers, your words of encouragement, and financial support have truly made a difference, and without you, none of this would exist. And we are truly grateful from the bottom of our hearts for all you've done, and we love you greatly. You are forever a part of our family, and we are forever bonded by the love of Jesus Christ and the love and passion that we share for others around the world who are living in desperate need. Thank you. I wanted to share with you also some exciting things that took place just a few weeks ago. I took a trip to Guatemala. I told Pastor Nettie, I want every second of my trip to be jam-packed. I want to be able to visit all of our projects, meet with everyone that I can, and also there was some children and families that I felt that I needed to meet with because of things that were concerning me, and I wanted to meet with them. Sometimes it takes an outsider, but someone that they know that loves them and cares for them, to come in and to shake them up a little bit, inspire them a little bit, and cause them to step out of their comfort zone and to make a change in their lives. I want to share with you a few things that took place. I arrived on the 11th of February 2015. We went to a church nearby where my friend Claudia got a donation of 5 water purification systems, and we picked them up that day. The following day, we drove about an hour to Palin, which is part of Escuintla, but it took us about an hour to get there. Guatemala traffic is not always the most friendliest traffic. And so it took us a while to get there. And as we entered in a place that had these rundown cement buildings and unpaved roads. And there, like a lighthouse in the midst of a raging sea, was this beautiful church. Simple, with cement walls and metal roof, but beautiful. We walked in, and over 70 children were there greeting us. The pastor was reciting Bible verses with the children, and they were well behaved and attentive to his every word. Pastor Nettie began to share a message with the children about building your life on the rock and not the sand. As he did that, the pastor of this church in Palin, he came and talked to me. He said, for so long I felt abandoned. I felt alone, carrying the burden of seeing my people in this community suffering from poverty, hunger, and violence. See, majority of these children live in another part of this town that's hidden. A town that is made of metal, nylon, and cardboard. No electricity, no water, no sanitation. I had an opportunity after visiting this project and walked through this little alley, and there, a row of these homes on each side with over 500 families living there. It was impactful to see how people are surviving in 2015 in these kind of conditions. These are the children that are being served in this new center in Palin. And we're developing a relationship with this pastor, and this will be our 6th outreach center. I told the pastor, you're not alone. You were never abandoned. And from this day forth, we are united. The children got to eat food, and they heard the message of Jesus Christ, received a lot of love that day. I was really impacted when I saw where they lived. But more than that, I was very impacted by the passion that this pastor has for his people. After leaving Palin, we went to Villalobos. This is a place that we first visited with our mission team in June when we first got off the plane. Pastor William, a great friend of mine in his late 30s, who runs this program and is the pastor of this church. This community is filled with poverty, violence, gangs, and homes that are built on the side of the mountain that's often prone to mudslides. It's a red zone. In fact, when I drove into this community, written on the wall was MS-13, which is a symbol for one of the most notorious gangs in the world. But when you walk up to the church, you hear laughter and worship music. The atmosphere changes. And there we were greeted by over 50 children, laughing and playing and filled with joy. We were able to sing with them. We had classes with them. We also had a beautiful message by another ministry that came in to share. And they did a really great way of teaching the kids about how lying binds us, but truth sets us free. It was a beautiful example. When it got to my turn to come up and to share whatever I was going to share. To be honest, I had no clue what I was going to say or what I was going to do. But all of a sudden I felt in my heart, ask the children if they had prayer requests. And so I got up and I knelt down on a table so I can get closer to their level. And I said, we're here because we love you. This center exists because we love you. And we want to see God's plan fulfilled in your life. And I'm going to do something different. I want to know if any of you have a prayer request. This is including also the adults that are in the back. They looked at me puzzled, as if no one has ever asked them that. And a little boy sitting on the floor looked up at me and raised his hand. So I knelt down and put the mic near his mouth, and he said, I want you to pray for me that I will never tell a lie and that I will be truthful because I want God to be proud of me. I heard behind me the woman who just shared that message about lying that binds us and truth sets us free, saying all and was touched by his words. They were so sincere. And other children began to say the same thing. Pastor William brought a little boy up that looked no more than 3 years old. And he said, his name is Luis. He is going to be 5 years old. Today is his birthday. See, he's very small because his mother died just recently. His father works all day long. And he's left in the home pretty much fending for himself. There's a few family members that are there, but for the most part he's on his own. And he asked for prayer. I put Luis in my hands and embraced him as we began to pray for the children and their needs. Afterwards, we sang happy birthday to Luis, and each child came up and gave him a hug. See, Luis comes to the center every week because this is a haven of hope, a place of safety, a place of refuge, a place of love. The following day, on Friday, I went to our Haven of Hope Center in Escuintla. It's always an exciting time to go to our Haven of Hope Center. As I arrived, instantly you hear people saying, Jonathan, 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 come out and play with us. Pastor Nettie often jokes and says, here starts the chorus, Jonathan, Jonathan, Jonathan. It was a beautiful sound to hear that children miss you and they just want to be around you. It's that special bond because I've known the majority of them since they were babies, and now they're getting older. I went out and I played with the children, and they hung on me like Christmas ornaments on a tree. We had a blast. I went and I visited a neighbor that lives across the street from our center, an elderly gentleman that's been battling a lot of health issues, especially with diabetes. And he lit up like a light bulb whenever he saw me. He's always happy to see me and always happy to have someone visit him and have someone just pay attention to him, show him a little love. And he loves telling me interesting stories. He's a special guy. Afterwards, I went to a little house, if you want to call it that. It's made of pieces of rusted metal on an abandoned lot that used to be a trash dump. Inside has no electricity, no water, no sanitation. This is the home of Sandra, who just turned 17 this month, who has a year-old baby. The baby's father lives there as well. The mother, Grace. Salome, which is the grandmother who can't speak because a man punched her in the throat. And 3 other children, including Rosita and Zulema. I went into this house and sat on the bed. The bed was covered in bugs, dirt. And I said, "This is where you sleep." I just couldn't imagine anyone sleeping on something like that. It wasn't even fit for an animal. I asked Sandra, if the Haven of Hope Center did not exist, what would happen to little Rosita and Zulema and your little sister? And she said, we would not have food. We've been working with this family for a while. There's certain families that you try to offer help, and there's like a wall there. In order to get help, you've got to put some effort into it as well. And this is something that we're struggling with, and we ask you to pray for this family so that we can break down this wall and really bring real change. Because if they show us that they're making the effort to change their lives and not just playing the game, we're willing to do everything possible to get them housing and to make big changes in their lives. In the meantime, we're working with the children. Little Rosita, when she first came to us, we would find her out in the street, as if no one cared. Her hair was orange because of malnutrition, and now her hair is dark brown. She's got a little belly on her. She's much better. But there's much to be done with this family. I walked into Sandra's room, and she said, I love you like a father, but I don't have one. And I can't live like this anymore. I embraced her and I said, I'm always here for you. The Hope Movement is always here for you. But I need to see you making the effort to meet me halfway. She began to cry, and I wrapped my arms around her and we prayed. My hope is that her life will be transformed, and I'm not giving up on this family. Later on, we began to cook in our center, setting up the tables and chairs, and we had a prayer time together. The children came in, and surprisingly, they were very orderly. This is a rough bunch of children, but I'm seeing a difference in them. I'm seeing more respect, more discipline. It's not easy whenever you're working with children and they go back to an abusive home, or they go back to a home where the parents don't have the same manners that we're teaching, or the same morals and values that we're instructing. But I'm seeing the difference. And this, my hope is, will radiate and will be an example for their parents, and that their parents will then change their life. The children came in, and at the same time a group from Canada, who were just on vacation, decided to come by and visit us. They immediately got to work. They started serving meals and sharing with the children. It was a wonderful time with them, and I was so happy to meet them. Afterwards, we did some choreographed dances, and we did a great lesson with the children, and it was a really great time. After all of our activities were concluded, the group from Canada had baggies that were filled with hygiene products, as well as clothing to give out to the kids. It was a wonderful time, and I hope they return soon. Later on, one of the mothers came by and wanted to show us her two daughters who are in our program in their new dresses that they just received from these wonderful people from Canada. We took pictures of the little girls because they were so cute. But the mother began to share something with us. She sat down and she began to weep. She started sharing some family issues that are going on, as well as financial issues that are happening. She said, I usually don't tell people these kind of things that are taking place in my personal life, but I feel comfortable here and I want to share it. She wept and she cried and she told us the story, and we offered her some words of encouragement, counsel. And Mama Betty, Pastor Nettie's wife, went and fixed a nice big bag of a packaged meal for her to give to her family. And we said, don't worry about crying and sharing and opening up to us. That's why we're here. That's why the Haven of Hope Center exists. Anytime you need us, we are here for you. I'm seeing that the community is beginning to see that the Haven of Hope, that the Hope movement is a place to find refuge, to find love, to find hope. Something else exciting that took place that was very surprising. I've been concerned about two children that are in our center in Escuintla named Daniel and Jonathan. They're 11 and 9 years old, and they've never been to school in their life, so they don't know how to read, write, or even calculate. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Without an education, they have very little hope of a bright future. Their father abandoned them, and their mother works all the time trying to survive. So Pastor Nettie and Yvette went to the local school to talk to the principal about this situation. He decided to accept them into the school, but he said they will need identification and documentation. See, the problem is the mother has no birth certificate for the children, so in the eyes of the government, they don't exist. Pastor Nettie informed her what she needs to get done in order to have them enrolled in school. For whatever reason, she was being very stubborn and was not cooperating. I told Nettie when I come to Guatemala, I want to tell her I want to meet with her. I was even planning on taking a camera and filming her to kind of add additional pressure, and hopefully that she would feel ashamed that I was recording this and would take the necessary action to help her children. Pastor Nettie told her, Jonathan is very interested in this case and he wants to meet with you. I didn't realize I had this much influence, but the following day she came with a copy of the paperwork that is needed to enroll her children. Pretty neat how that happened. And I'm really happy to report that we're now getting Jonathan and Daniel enrolled in school. And I know that they will have a bright future now. On Saturday, February 14th, 2015, we went to Nueva Amanecer, which is in Guatemala City. This is a center that we have where it's in a garage, part of a house of a member of the congregation who's donating the facility and run by volunteers from the church. All of the children have lost at least one parent to violence, abandonment, or incarceration. They were informing us that we have over 70 children crammed into this little center, but there's lack of space, and so they have to turn many children away. and so they have to pick the ones that have the most need. I don't want to turn anyone away. And so we went out looking at some property that is for rent for about $80 a month that would give us a big facility to be able to open a church as well as have a place for the center to have space for all of the children. So keep that in prayer, that God guides us with wisdom to know what the best decision is and the best place to be. We saw such great need there. And after we sang together and ate together and shared a beautiful message of hope, Pastor Nettie took that word that we had in Villalobos to ask for a prayer request. And he asked, is there anyone that needs prayer? A little girl came up to him. I watched his eyes, and as she told him her story, his head fell down, and his eyes filled with tears. See, this little girl is raising her brothers and sisters alone. And what she asked for was strength to continue. One after another, children came up with similar prayer requests. A little girl came up to me and said, pray for my mother that she doesn't get sick and die because I don't want to be alone. Another child with a baby in her hands says, help me. I'm raising my brothers and sisters. My grandmother is ill. We're all alone. My mother's in jail. My father abandoned me. Tears flowed and prayers were said. We also found out that at least 13 children in our center, in this community, have no mother or father. See, we're making plans to finish the construction of our second level at the Haven of Hope in Escuintla to have a home for children. And we really see that the first children in our home for children most likely will come from this area because of the great need. Afterwards, we went and we visited families and went into one of the homes that was made of metal. You have to step down these wooden steps that were flimsy. And it was a very dark room, almost like a dungeon. And this is where the family lived. They thanked us for the help that we're providing through the center. We visited another family where the grandmother was raising the 10-month-old because the mother was in jail. The other 2 children are in our center. Along with that, we saw the little boy that had a cleft lip, and we were able to get a surgery done for him. He's now healing and looks beautiful. His life is forever changed. He will now be able to find good employment and never feel that rejection because of his deformities. We also met another young mother with a baby that has a child with webbed feet. The 2 toes are merged together, and she's the next candidate for a surgery that we're going to be setting up for with a local hospital that's working with us. So please keep them all in prayer. That day, we went to Pastor Davis Church, where our other center is located. This is the location of our new Bible Institute called Seeds of Hope. In the background, there's this big banner with my design that I made, which is really exciting to see. Bible Institute with the Hope Movement logo. Tables and chairs set up, and an easel set up, a marker board to be able to provide our Bible lessons. This is going to be a accredited Bible Institute where they'll be able to get a certificate and to be able to get trained on every aspect of ministry. I had written a message that was in regards to the belief system about the dangers of watered down Christian living. Before I was able to share, our professor at the Institute, who is a minister who's well known in Guatemala and has opened many churches and has been in ministry for over 30 years, spoke eloquently in regards to almost the same subject that I had written, and talked about the profile of an authentic Christian and how a minister has to get down and dirty, get and work. He's got to plow the fields. He's got to get his hands dirty. He's got to move. He's got to take action. These are the kind of teachings and powerful lessons that we want to instill in these future ministers. It was a beautiful time. We shared a lunch together, the fellowship, and we did our official inauguration, cutting the ribbon of the opening of the Bible Institute. It was a beautiful time. Afterwards, we distributed the water purification systems to the pastors who run our centers and trained them on how to utilize these water purification systems, thanks to Claudia and her church. And also we're able to meet with Claudia, a good friend of mine who's part of the Hope Movement family, to be able to share a vision about creating a new feeding and education center. And it was a really wonderful time for her to share her vision and to be able to share that with others who are like-minded, and to really get that support and to be able to start praying together and waiting for God's timing. On Sunday the 15th of February 2015, we woke up with the roosters and drove 3 hours up the mountain to San Juan, an indigenous community where we have a center located in a small church up in the mountains. So you have to drive 3 hours up the mountain through a marketplace with people who are dressed in indigenous attire, which is beautiful. And then you have to go down a hill, park your vehicle, carry all of your things down a hill, go up a hill, cross a river, and back up a hill in order to get to this location. And up there are many, many families that live, and this is where our center is located, as well as the church. Waiting for us was a woman who was escaping domestic violence with her 3 children. We met with her in a small room with the pastor and his wife, a lady from the church, and a beautiful 99-year-old pastor who was there as well. Pastor Nettie and Yvette and myself were also involved in this intervention with this woman. Pastor Nettie shared a beautiful message to her, and also we educated her about her legal rights, that you don't have to be a victim. This is important because especially in indigenous communities, there's a lack of education in regards to their rights. We also shared with her the power of Jesus Christ and how he can change her husband and change her family. And also gave her good counsel to know how to react and what next steps she needs to take so that she doesn't have to suffer any longer. A powerful moment is when the pastor shared his story about before he found Jesus, he was an abusive man. Holding his wife's hand, he said, "I am ashamed of my past, but I am living proof that God can change a man's heart, and he can do that for your husband. Keep her in prayer." She then came to the church service. The pastor led worship. Another woman came up and sang, and afterwards fell to her knees after she shared her testimony about how she was a broken woman, but now that she's come to this church, has found hope. We then saw the pastor's wife come up and share a beautiful song of worship. And as they're singing, I felt a song come to my heart. I had written a song called Arms Open Wide, which talks about when the doctor tells you that you're going to die and you don't have much time, look to God. When you're looking for purpose in your life, look to God. When you're looking for the love of your life, look to God. Storms come your way to test your faith, but he's building your character. The chorus says, "Here I am with arms open wide, and all of your pain goes away by the power of my name. Here I am with arms open wide." I shared a short message and read a verse from the book of Psalms. and I played on the piano that we donated in June. First time I played the song on piano and performing it live. And as I began to sing the song, a new verse came to me in regards to domestic violence. See, before I got up, I whispered into the ear of that woman who came to us because her husband was beating her whenever he got drunk. And I said, this song is for you. And God gave me a verse. To this moment, I can't remember what I said, except for the video that was recorded. I'll have to look back and write it down. Pastor Nettie then came up and shared a powerful message. By the end of the service, everyone was on their hands and knees crying out to God. It was a beautiful moment. We then celebrated the birthday of the pastor's daughter. Yvette was teaching the children in another area, doing art classes and Bible lessons. And then we fed all the children. I had a great conversation with the pastor's wife. She shared some beautiful stories about how she gave everything that she had, and God in turn blessed her. There are amazing, beautiful stories of hope and inspiration. She said to me, I see that God is going to use you, and that you're going to leave an impression on many people. It's a very deep and profound thing that she shared, which was exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. As one often is having internal struggles, God always sends somebody to say what is needed to be said, to lift you up, give you the strength to carry on. The pastor said, your music touched my heart. That worship was profound. I want to have a CD of that worship because I know that this music is going to impact many lives. I often felt that I'm kind of shy when it comes to speaking in front of people, that I'm not that preacher that has a fiery message, and I think I can speak pretty well and passionately. But when I sang, I felt such an openness and connection with the people and with God. And I felt that God was telling me, you need to use this talent more so that more lives can be transformed by the songs that I gave you. It's a very eye-opening experience. The pastor's wife then came and said, I want to share with you a story about this little girl that just arrived. The school won't let her come in because she doesn't have a backpack or shoes. See, people from the United States donated some clothing, but they were way too big for us. And I hope it's okay, but I went and sewed a backpack for her, and I would like to present it to her. I was amazed to see that she took an old shirt that was donated from the United States that was too big, with a strap and pockets and everything, and presented this to this little girl, as well as a pair of shoes and shirt, and she will now be able to attend school. It's a great idea, creative and inventive. And I said, whenever you have ideas like that, you have permission to do that. We also started to discuss ideas about beginning to teach the women to sew and to be able to produce products, bags and clothing and dolls and jewelry and things of that nature. And I said, if you begin to do that, we will begin to sell it in the marketplace. And I can also take it to the United States. And whenever I go and speak in certain places, we'll sell it there. Whenever we'll sell it on our website, we'll sell it on Amazon.com. And a percentage will go to the women who are making the products, and a percentage will go to the program to help sustain the program that's helping these families. It was a great idea. And so I'm excited to see how God is going to use this opportunity. I just want to thank you all for making this all possible. Wonderful things have taken place, but we still need your help. God can open doors to help thousands or millions of people, but we can't do it without you. We can't do it without your financial support, without your prayers. I mean, the thing is, if we just sacrificed a meal at a restaurant once a month, that makes a huge impact in the lives of the people we serve. And I ask you to consider that. Consider making a small sacrifice each month, becoming a monthly donor, and adopt one of these programs so that these children will not go without, and that they will be the next generation that transforms their nation. Thank you all for all that you've done and all that you're going to do. May God bless you, and we love you with all of our hearts.